the frame rate for that camera is...
Well, we caught all the fish, and we drank all the beer.
Oh, come
Get the
on.
rest of the song.
Ah! Ah! Okay, that should be fine. So, I have a pretty hefty story tonight. It's long. That's even worse.
And we're yaks.
Do you want to try again, or?
Yeah, let's. And we're yaks.
Nice. So it's just gonna be me telling this story today because it's a pretty long one. It's a decent story. I don't know if I've actually if you know this story even, like you weren't there for it, but I can't remember if I've told you or not. Like normal, if this is your first time watching one of these, we tell a story that actually happened to us. Sometimes both of us tell one, sometimes one of us does, and then at the end we'll draw from these bowls a place, a character, and a situation, and then we'll improv a scene. So, my story starts out, a few years back. I was between the ages of 18, 19, or 20, I can't remember, but it was a while ago, and it started with, like, I would have these episodes of just chest pain, and a lot of times it wasn't chest pain, it was more like just deep, like inner muscle pain. Like it would sometimes it would be from my shoulder blade, like my back, because I had an injury a few years ago before this story that I thought was like reoccurring, like it was a really bad injury. So it like tore a couple muscles, and I thought it was just like getting aggravated, you know?
Right.
So the pain would be like this seizing, like gripping chest thing where it would go from my back through my body into like my chest, and it was just all over, and it'd just be like so I thought it was that muscle, but then there was another weird symptom that was happening every now and then. I would notice when I would like go up and down stairs, or like jump onto my bed, or like anything that required a lot of motion in my just all of my body. Right. I felt this like little like shift. It wasn't liquid like in my stomach sloshing around. It was like in my other organs, and I was like, that's not right. So we're concerned about these episodes that I'm having. We're concerned now about this weird sloshing feeling in my body. And so we go to the doctor, and I'm explaining my symptoms to this doctor, and she's like, oh, it's probably just I don't even remember what she said, but she's like, yeah, just be more careful and do this, and this will help you. It was really dumb, but I was like,
and
you know,
$400.
And I was like, you know, I want an X-ray, and she's like, you probably don't need that, and I'm like, well, I want an X-ray, just why not? And she's like, okay, so we get the X-ray, we go home that night, because the X-ray doesn't come out immediately. So she's like, well, we'll get these to you as soon as we can, blah, blah, blah. So that night, she calls my mom, and she's like, it looks like your son has a partially deflated lung.
Right.
Good. Thank you for having me be the one that made you find that out.
Right.
So we go back in, and so we do all the paperwork and stuff, and, you know, figure this out with the doctors. By that weekend, of course, I'm in the hospital ready to have a surgery. And this surgery mainly involves getting stabbed.
I think I can finish this story. So then they put an air hose in you, and they just like bike tire it up, right?
Almost. so they start, you know, numbing me up with, it took like 3 or 4 shots around my chest to get it to be, you know, I can't feel nothing on my chest anymore.
Right.
And so the doctor comes in, and he's like, okay, they explained to me, this procedure is to poke a hole in my chest, insert a tube, You were right on that part.
Nice.
And like up here, there's going to be like this airtight little transparent box that's going to be on my chest, and attached to the tube that lets air out but not in. So the tube is supposed to extract the air that's somehow outside of my lung but still inside my body. So whatever air, the lung was partially deflated because it couldn't come back out because it was the only organ flexible enough to leave the outside air still in my body, right?
Right.
So like when at some point the lung had failed to lung, ruptured inside my body, you know, and let air escape into my body. But then it healed up and the air was still inside my body.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. So my lungs just sitting there can't come back out all the way because there's air pushing it, keeping it in, right?
Right.
So their goal is to use that tube to take the intruding air out of my body, and then so the lung will fill back out. Pretty simple procedure. They just got to stab me, put the tube in, and then call it good, you know, for the night. The stabbing took a while. This is where the story gets interesting. So this guy, you know, after I'm all numbed up, he's like, okay, he's feeling and whatever he needs to do to see if he's gonna hit rib or not.
Right.
So he finds where my rib bones are, and he's like, okay, marks it. That's where I'm gonna stab. And then he goes down, right? Except like he gets a little way in, and then he's like, oh, that's weird. And he takes it out. Now I'm bleeding everywhere. He's like checking again. He's like, okay, I didn't hit a rib. He's just having a hard time poking that thing through all the way. He's like, I didn't hit a rib. Okay, I'm gonna put it back. And I can't feel the pain, but I can feel like the pressure, right? So I'm like, all right, I'm just laying there, right? Just useless. Like, I'm conscious for this whole thing, just watching him like struggle. And then he's like, let me go get my friend, who's a more experienced doctor. Oh, by the way, so at this point, there's multiple students in the room, because this is one of those rare things where like it only happens in this hospital every so often.
Right.
So we'll have a bunch of students in here watching this procedure take place. So he comes in with the more experienced doctor. The more experienced doctor, he checks for the rib, okay? He starts trying it. He's like, right? And then they're both like they're not like standing on me. They're not like, but they're just like both on top of me, kind of,
right.
You know, like pushing this thing in. The hard part is they're trying to push this thing through whatever it's having problems getting through without like going so hard that it goes and punctures something else inside me.
Right.
Inside
That's
me.
a good thing to avoid, I'd say.
So I'm just sitting there, like these two doctors over here, like pushing on. I can feel it like in my back, like the pressure that they're giving, and I'm like, this is fine. just, and then, finally, just like that. It was this weird relieving feeling, like all the pressure, and then just like they got it through.
Right.
It was weird, dude. It was so weird. They're like, okay, there it is, finally, we got it. And then they take it out, they put the tube in, and then they leave the room, and they tell me later, apparently I have an unusually strong, what's called a pleura, which is like the tissue that lines the lungs. It's like a between the muscles and the organs, like this force field apparently that mine wouldn't let them get through. And so
that's there, I'd say.
right, it's like the second layer before the lungs, that's where the extra air was chilling out. And then one of the students comes up to me. He was like, I was watching the heart rate monitor the entire time, and your heart rate never went up. Like, you stayed incredibly calm. And I was like, thanks. I didn't think that was possible, because I'm sitting there like, I'm gonna die. But apparently my heart rate was steady, like, the whole time.
So you were more sitting there like, I'm gonna die.
This is fine. Yeah, and then after that, they had this little box on me, but the thing is, after like the residue of like blood and sweat that was on my chest, they like tried wiping it up and everything, but this box that's on my chest, I'm not fully at a 90 laying down, I'm kind of like sitting up. It's like sliding off of me. and so their solution is to tape it. Like, it's transparent.
Super glue.
with the friggin' like packing tape, you know, the wide like freaking that's scotch. It's like, yeah, they're like taping it, and then it's coming off because there's still like residue on my chest, and then the nurse comes and like tapes it up again. Like, just air seal that real quick. And then we didn't stay overnight, so we ended up they ended up getting it released, and then they sent us home with like a more mobile device that would actually stay on me. And I think it was only a couple of days before we were back at the clinic again, and he was like, okay, on the count of 3, I'm just gonna pull this out and put a Band-Aid on it, basically. So that's what he did. He's like, okay, here we go. The straw comes out, and he's like, okay, there you go. All better. Just pull that thing out of your body and slap a Band-Aid on it. And so, yeah, I guess, or the diagnosis, it's not like super common, but it's not abnormal for young, lean men to just have a lung collapse. There was no like, oh, you know, the similar, you know, all of the common things with all of these men that have this problem is this, like, it's just, oh yeah, it's an unexplained thing that just happens to men,
sometimes.
to young men.
Well, that sucks.
I'm like, great. And it could also potentially happen again if it happened the first time, that kind of statistic. That's it, other than when I took the Band-Aid off and it was still kind of like a fresh wound, you know, it was like a weird like pink, like, because it was like my pectoral muscle, like right there, you know,
Right.
and the skin was gone. And it was like the actual, the way it had like, you know, closed up looked like an inverted like nipple. Like 3. It's just like this pink like glob.
2 1/4 nipples.
And I still have the scar, but it's like barely noticeable. It's like right, it's there. It's that
This is
little.
for the fans only account.
It's right there. This little pasty spot.
Right. Say pasty again for Peyton.
Hasty. So, yeah, I think that's the most like intense medical situation I've had. A partially collapsed lung. It was, see, I was fortunate because a lot of the cases where guys just like up and have a lung just collapse on them, actually sends them to the hospital right away. Like, it's bad and they're like,
That's what I would
like,
imagine.
can't breathe.
Right.
But mine was just like a little, that feels weird, you know? so
You got
yeah.
their lung? I can do it.
Right. And then my pleura, just like, you will not get to these lungs. So it is the time of the video where we do the thing. So that's big. Wow.
I don't know what it is. I didn't read the whole thing.
Okay.
Right now, I am Charlie the Pumpkin.
Charlie the Pumpkin.
This is in season.
All right.
I am Charlie the Pumpkin.
I
How
got.
do you act like a pumpkin?
I got Benethi Uvulo.
Uvalo.
He's definitely Asian and kind of hot and really clever and intelligent and social, but his biggest fault is he doesn't believe in himself, so he sells himself short and has a hard time being a go-getter. That's very descriptive.
Yeah, I'm a pumpkin.
So that's a made-up character, but it's a character nonetheless. I'm imagining this just like Adventure Time or something. It's like a sentient pumpkin, you know what I mean? So
I still don't know how. I'll figure it out.
just just have a voice and a, you know?
Yeah.
So the place is a teeny tiny airplane. And, oh good. It's another one of these, they can't work together. Man walks his emu down the street. That's the situation. You know what? We can work with this. The situation is a man is walking his emu down the street, but we're both in a teeny tiny airplane.
I think the only way I could think of is if we're looking down at the man
Yes.
walking an emu in the street.
Yes. And I guess we'll say that this teeny tiny airplane is a private jet, and that we're the ones irresponsibly in control of it. My
Alright.
insecure Asian self.
And my rotund orange self.
Rotund.
I think I'm just gonna go for like a headless horseman type thing.
Okay.
But just Charlie.
Jack-o'-lantern.
instead of- Right, yeah.
All right. Are you sure I should be steering the plane? I mean, maybe you could do better. I mean, I guess you don't really have arms and you're a pumpkin, but I don't know. Maybe you could just direct me a little bit, because I haven't taken enough airplane classes as I maybe should to drive an airplane.
Well, the only reason I'm on this plane is to get to the House of Horrors. You're gonna get me there one way or another.
We could walk or something. You know what? Never mind. I'll just try this. I'll try it. I'll start the plane. The plane's on. Is that what a plane sounds like?
How should I know I'm merely a pumpkin?
Okay. Beep, beep. I guess I'll keep the wheels down for now.
Well, that's a sight.
What's down there? Am I gonna run someone over?
No, but there's a man walking an emu through the streets.
An emu? I love emus. Where is he? Whoa.
On the streets.
Are we? Is this a proper takeoff zone? Should we be somewhere else with this plane?
I do not know, for I am merely a pumpkin.
For I am merely a pumpkin. All right. You know what? I'm clever. I'm gonna figure this out. We're gonna just go over here where there's not pedestrians, I guess. Oh, is he following us?
He's running.
He's running toward us. I can't tell. I kind of just see a silhouette. Is he running toward us? Oh my! Can that emu fly? Is he flying?
It's impossible.
Is he flying? I'm gonna just pick up the speed a little bit. What is he holding?
He's holding our wheel.
Is that why I kind of feel a little lopsided? I wasn't gonna say anything, but I kind of felt like the plane was leaning just a little bit. What's he doing with it?
I don't know where to go from here, dude.
Dude, I don't know.
I'm
It's
having
getting crazy.
such a hard time being a pumpkin.
It's just at this point you can just be a dude. I like how I have this ginormous description for this character, but like how do you play off the hot and clever part?
Right,
And
yeah. Hot and clever, but still insecure and unsure of himself. It's like, it's hard to, like, you have to visually see that, yeah.
Right. What is he doing?
I'm falling.
No, you're here. Like, do you need me to secure you or something? There's no buckles. You're good now? You stable? Okay, I'm just gonna pick up the speed a little bit to get away from this guy. Actually, I don't think it's safe to pick up our plane. I don't think it's safe to. I don't think this plane will even be able to lift off if we don't have if we lift off at an angle. You know what I mean? I'm just gonna. You know. I mean, we should call the cops.
The cops.
I'm done.
I can't anymore.
We should call the cops.
The police when you call them. What the? What do you want me to do?
So, man walks his emu down the street. That was from Simon Schul.
Oh, that guy.
What'd you get?
Charlie the Pumpkin was from Jacob Walker. I'm sorry if that is a character from a show and I botched it.
It could be. I don't know. It's Jacob Walker, dude.
It'd be really nice if I knew if it was a character from a show. Something impersonating.
A teeny tiny airplane was Sarah Latre, and this character, Benothy, was also by Sarah
It was
Latre.
from Sam Peck. What?
Well,
Wait, we didn't have a Sam Peck one in this?
well, we've exhausted a lot of his suggestions, so there might not be any more.
Right.
It's not summer anymore, so it's dork outside.
You're dork outside.
Oh, hey.
Nice.
How convenient.
Not poops.
Wait, come back on. There we go. Okay.
Good thing that turned back on. I would have missed that.
Oh. Ooh. Ah. Ah. You just hear it close.